Hello and welcome to American Friction, the US politics podcast that is actually in central London today. Not somewhere we all like to be. People are quite rude here, as Alan Partridge has probably told you all through the memes that you'll have seen on the internet. Anyway, I'm Jacob Jarvis. I'm here with Chris Jones. He's behind the camera at the moment, but he'll be on screen at some point, don't you worry. You'll get to see his lovely little face. But anyway, we're here to have a chat with some of the people who are wanting to express their disdain towards Trump and MAGA-style politics, and to show how they want to reject that at home and abroad. Because I don't like using this phrase all the time, but if you watch the mainstream media, you might be fooled into thinking that people in Britain really like Trump and really like what he's all about. I don't think that is the case. Polling shows us it isn't the case, and we're here to speak to some people who are going to tell you that it isn't the case. So, without further ado, let's get on with it. This is American Friction.
Yeah, I'm Graham Smith. I'm CEO of Republic, which is the UK anti-monarchy campaign.
Tell me a little bit about what brings you down today, what sort of motivated you to really want to show, whilst Trump is here, why you don't want him to be.
Well, a big part of our motivation for being here is that we're sort of saying to the British people, if you're worried about Trump, then worry about Charles, worry about the monarchy, and worry about the potential of having a Trump-like Prime Minister, because Trump is a real danger, and he's obviously trying to normalise authoritarianism, and people saying that he wants to be king. We would have got a king here, but also if we had we don't have a constitution with any checks and balances at all. So if Trump was Prime Minister, we would be in very serious trouble. We'd have no protection against him whatsoever. So we're kind of drawing that comparison.
With the monarchy and how much they are rolling the red carpet out to Trump over the next few days, how do you feel about that? How does that make you feel?
Ultimately, this is a decision by Starmer. And one of our messages today is to Starmer saying, corrupt billionaires are not the answer, this side or the other side of the Atlantic.
Well, we are just nearing on Parliament Square now, and I think, as you can see, a fair amount of people here making it pretty clear that they aren't super happy about Donald Trump being anywhere near here. We were just paused outside Downing Street, people making it pretty clear as well they weren't too happy with Keir Starmer, and saying even worse stuff about Trump. There's people with plenty of orange face paint on, plenty of flags, plenty of signs. Seems like everyone's got one. Whistles, drums, the lot. But if you're under any impression that Trump was universally popular and MAGA was popular in Britain and people wanted that sort of thing to come, it's more and more clear that that's not what people want here. So we're going to go down to the main stage now. I think Billy Bragg might be playing a few tunes, so who knows what might go on there, but there'll be plenty more speakers, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, I suppose, on the march, so we'll see how many people there'll be. Why did you feel it was important to be here today?
The American system is just completely imploding, and anything that sort of brings the reality of it to focus, I think would be absolutely fantastic.
So I was a journalist in America, and I am a writer in America, and my father was killed in Vietnam when I was a little girl. So I've been outspoken against Donald Trump since August of 2015, when I realized he was going to run for president. I do not think any man who dodged the draft, bought his way out through his father's money, deserves to be president. He has not earned that right. And I gave up a father for my country that he is now desecrating and has been desecrating for 10 years. As a woman, I'm worried about women's rights. As a journalist, I'm worried about free speech. As a mother, I'm worried, and a grandmother, I'm worried about the future.
We're trying to basically point out that Keir Starmer is relying an awful lot on the special relationship and how that's going. And I'm a little concerned personally that I see the UK's path quite differently to how the US is currently going. And that suggests there might be a rift in the special relationship, and we have to work out what we're going to do. And at the moment, because he's signing up to so many new deals, whether these are deals with the economic deals, trying to get tech deals with the US, but also military deals and such like this, I think we're getting actually in deeper with the US, which is maybe not where I don't know. Personally, I'm feeling pretty uncomfortable with that. I lived there for 5 years. My fiance Natalie, she's from the US as well. So we care a lot about the well-being of the people in the US, but at the moment the trajectory looks pretty destitute, and we at least want to save ourselves, as crazy as it is. So,
Natalie, what made you really want to be here today, and how have you felt seeing so many people turn out?
Yeah, it's actually been quite interesting. So like you mentioned, I'm from the US, and so I feel like I'm in an interesting pocket of people here at this event, of people who are kind of living here in London, loving it here in London, and seeing kind of things that are happening in the US and seeing how we are kind of inextricably linked as two different countries. And I moved here, and there's so many things here in the US that are being influenced by the US, and I feel like it's a completely different country, so it needs to probably have its different identity and keep its different identity. But it's been really interesting seeing so many people turn up from different groups, different kind of clubs and whatnot. A lot of people with a similar kind of message of wanting Trump to not be here at the moment.
I think it's important to show how much we hate Trump, and we just don't want the Parliament to think that we can cozy up to him and make him think that the UK doesn't hate him. And I just wanted to show how much that we hate Trump, basically, and don't want him here.
I just feel like Trump represents everything that's quite wrong with the world, his lies, how he splits people, he makes so much anger in America at the moment. It's really sad to see, and it's really quite disappointing that we've been invited here again to meet our royal family, and so I felt like I had to be here today to show that he's not welcome, and I don't agree with what EU stands for.
My name is Zoe Gardner, and I'm a spokesperson for the Stop Trump campaign today, and I'm a researcher and campaigner on migration policy and migrants' rights.
So far, how have you found the atmosphere here? And to you, personally, why do you feel it's important to be here today?
We have a lot of reasons to hate the man. I think we also have a lot of reasons to be wanting to shake our government a bit and say, grow a spine, stand up for this country, stand up to bullies like Trump, stand up for a better world, and stand up to, this wealth grab is essentially what it is. Right? What they're doing in the States and what they want to bring over here is to buy up this country and just they call it investment, but it's really that old trickle-down theory, and it's about making the richest richer at the expense of everybody else. So there's that, which I would have said, last week. But then there was also Tommy Robinson's demo at the weekend, and I think for a lot of people that made it a lot more important to show up today, because that was really huge, and I think we should actually take it very, very seriously. I mean, Elon Musk, who funded Donald Trump's presidential campaign and got him into the White House, he was there. He's funding the Tommy Robinson far-right movement in the UK. The movement for whom reform is too centrist and too weak, right? He's funding that. He's showing up at that rally. 100,000 people more, much more maybe, are showing up under that banner of racism. And frankly, the media, the politicians, they totally swallowed the game is up. They because there is so much right-wing control of the media. They're saying, well, this is just ordinary people. This is what the majority of the country feel like, and we're talking about a really extremist, far-right, violent criminal, Tommy Robinson, at the head of a movement like that, and they're saying that represents the mainstream. No, it doesn't. We are. Actually.
Well, when you're organising this, and we speak about the sort of ordinary people, that concerns me too. That it seems like the media projects that ordinary people are all angry, all right-leaning. Here, what's the sort of demographic like here? It seems like there's all sorts of people, but what are you seeing and what are you hearing from people when you speak to them to organise events like this?
Oh, wow. I think that we've got what Donald Trump does is he brings together so many different movements, because Donald Trump is a threat to our climate, to the rights of women, LGBT folks, migrants, ethnic minorities, Palestinians, the list goes on and on. So what we've got today is an opportunity for those movements to come together, and people who care about, a really broad spectrum actually of issues, to stand together shoulder to shoulder and to speak up about this. I mean, I think there's people of every kind of demographic here today, every age group, and I think that this has to be the start of something, right? It shouldn't just be. We too often have demos where you come out, you listen to some speeches, you shout, you go home and what happens next. And I think really at this time we need to be building a movement. So that's why it's so important that we've got voices from across such a broad range of society.
What are you hoping that people then will take away from it? And on that, it's easy. I think a lot of people I hear say they feel powerless, they feel hopeless, they feel kind of rudderless in all of this at the moment. What can people who are listening to this do you think, to have the tangible improvements they want to see and move us off this trajectory that it seems like it's been imprinted upon us as a people? If not, it's that we're going that way.
I mean, I guess, yeah. The first thing to say is I know that it feels hopeless. I know it feels hard, like just watching a genocide on your phone, like it's hard to do and carry on with your day. But we can't give up. We don't have that luxury. And we also, we would be fools to give up. The narrative that this is all sewn up and Farage is just going to waltz into number 10, that's complete rubbish. We've got 4 years and we have every chance to change that story. But what we have to do is have a real alternative to Farage and to really push the fact that like we need a different politics. That's what people really want. They want to change. And they're so up for a change that's radical and fundamental that they'll try Farage because there's nothing else on the other side. So we need to be building what is there on the other side. So I would say to anybody listening, like, also don't be afraid, don't be afraid of criticism. Don't be afraid of somebody saying you've not done it quite right. Like we're at a time of growing fascism. Like let's give it a name. Like let's be serious about it. Is that serious? Everything you do, even if it's small, even if it's imperfect, even if somebody on the internet says you should have done it differently, actually everything you do matters. Join up with any group you can. Like on the Stop Trump Coalition, we're going to carry on, right? We're going to continue to build a movement. You can sign up on our website, stoptrump.org.uk, or you can sign up with the Palestine movement, with all these different movements today. But we need to be building spaces where we can be having conversations in communities, in local places, also not just in London, but all over the country. And we have every chance to turn this story around. We do not have to go the way the States has gone.
Yeah. We see a lot of people in America criticising London, criticising the UK at the moment. I'm sure that some people on the right, particularly in America, would say, well, why are a load of people in London, why do they even care about this? Why should we listen to anything they have to say? As someone who works in these sort of organising space, do you think it is important, if nothing else, for us to be showing that kind of community and kinship and showing that community can stretch across borders and across the Atlantic now? Sort of community doesn't just have to be your next door neighbours. We're in a connected world, aren't we? And community can be between us and America as well.
Absolutely. I mean, if Elon Musk can speak at Tommy Robinson's rally, we're going to have video messages of solidarity from loads of Americans today. We've got loads of Americans who've made a home here in the UK here today. And it's really important to show that solidarity. Like, they are interconnected. And sure, they're doing that with money. But we've never had more opportunity than we have in the present day to be internationally interconnected. Yeah. And we should be showing that solidarity with one another. Like, anybody who stands against fascism, no matter where they are in the world, even in places where it's truly difficult to do it, right? Because we can still do it here. In places like, where they have dictatorships and authoritarian politics, and it's really hard. People have always stood up against that, and any of those people is my brother, my sister, and I will stand up with them and I will speak for them. We need to be connecting more, and that's one of the things I think that actually the Stop Trump movement does well, is like bringing in that international solidarity and recognizing that it is one fight for ordinary people around the world against the global elite they're not even looking for a human future, essentially. They're looking for a future of like techno-feudalism, on Mars in, cyborg bodies. It sounds insane, but that's actually the future they're looking at. And if we want a human future, then that's, everyone on Earth is like, fight.
Yeah. So your expertise is obviously the migration side of things. I think this debate often gets sort of put into, vibe, left and right, sort of, and, the culture war side of it and all of that. Just on the influences to not take from the US. I mean, UK migration policy isn't great at the moment, let's be honest. I'm sure you've got more to say on that than me and anyone else, really. But we really have to hope that sort of policy from the US doesn't start to creep over here, does it? Because looking at what they're doing on migration, it's hard to say that it can be much worse, but it can be significantly worse here as well.
It can always get worse. Never kid yourself that it can't get worse.
Yeah.
It can always get worse. And what's interesting is the narrative that Donald Trump used in his election campaign was one that criminals and rapists are coming across the border. That was it. It was rapists. It was this sexual threat to our women. And this has been used throughout history to great effect, right? It was used against the Windrush generation. It was used, when it wasn't safe, when the National Front was patrolling the streets and smashing people up. It was used against the Jewish refugees who came in the 1900s from fleeing pogroms in Eastern Europe. It's always been used, this horrific smear against migrant men in particular, right? And it's been so effective to get Trump into power in the US, and that's why I'm so worried that that is the narrative that they are seeding in our communities here. Obviously, it isn't true, but it's so pernicious. And so I think it's so important that there are so many women at the forefront of our movement as well, standing up against that. But I think that it's easy to, when you dehumanize somebody else, you're actually, I always say this, right? Dehumanization is not a line, it's a circle, right? Like, in order to treat somebody so inhumanly as they are doing to migrants in the United States, you dehumanize yourself. You become a monster. You don't become something human. And it is so damaging to ourselves, so damaging to the core of our humanity to be able to say, drown them in the channel, gunships in the channel, that kind of thing. So I think that we desperately need to, just have political leaders brave enough to say these are people. And I don't even care whether you want them here or not. They're people, and therefore they have rights, and therefore we need to respect that, and we need to work with a system that will give them an answer, that will give an answer to our communities that have been left behind, and that will give an answer to the people who have nothing, who think that the best opportunity is to cross the channel in a boat. And at the moment, our politics doesn't have an answer for either of those groups of people.
Yeah. If there could be one key sort of takeaway or outcome from today, what would you hope for that to be?
I think the narrative that came out, that the far-right leaders of the movement on Saturday wanted to come out, was that, these are just ordinary people who want to take some pride in Britain. I mean, the conversation we just had was about how people feel despair, how they feel scared. We've just seen studies, and we don't even need studies, it's obvious. Ethnic minorities in this country are feeling scared that they might be beaten up in the streets or attacked in the streets. That is a shameful situation to be in. We here also deserve to have leaders who will give us some pride in this country, right? There's other ways of finding pride in this country than through being white, right? There are ways to find pride, and that is by standing up to power. And we have an incredibly weak leadership at the moment, but I think that if we could just give them one message, it would be that we need somebody who's willing to actually stand up for this country and give us some pride back.
Zoe, thanks so much for your time. Chris, so we've come to the end of our time here at the Trump March. What have been your takeaways from it?
It's been interesting. I will be honest, I think I expected a lot more people to be here. Might still happen. Yeah. It is only 5 p.m. And there does seem to be some people that still are arriving, and especially more younger people. I think that's one of the things we've noticed.
There's not a lot of young men.
There's not a lot of young men. We've seen a lot of young women, and we've spoken to a lot of young women. But the people we've spoken to are passionate. They're very passionate. They're very clear in their messaging against Donald Trump. And I think the people that we spoke to have been very powerful, and they know what they want, and they don't want Trump in the UK. So it's been very interesting, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that from my takeaway of it is that what we saw over the weekend, I can see why people would be unsettled by it, but clearly there are people who want the UK to take a different path, want us to not take the path of Trumpian politics. And we have to realise that isn't our destiny. People might talk it into being inevitable, but it clearly isn't inevitable. So a whole mixture of causes here, a whole lot of things being said, and I think across the political spectrum we're clearly seeing people feel unsettled at the moment. But what I would say is that no matter what you think on all sorts of the crises we're seeing in the world at the moment, there is some hope that people don't want us to go the MAGA Trump way. And that's what would be my takeaway from today. So, American Friction, we've got to sign off, don't we?
Let's sign off.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to American Friction. American Friction, Patreon, you can back us there, patreon.com/American Friction. If you want us to get on the tube a bit more often and do more stuff like this, let us know. Patreon.com/American Friction. I'm Jacob Jarvis, he's Chris Jones.
I am Chris Jones.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks for listening.